Aziza is the name that the artist called me.
Okay.
And my legal name is Claudia Gibson-Hunter.
Was there anything that inspired you when you were young, or you just had a passion to just create?
My parents were wonderful, I have to say, because they let me. I had art classes at my house for kids in the neighborhood and all of that. So
that is
it's
impressive.
just been a part of my life. My mother loved African art.
Okay. So was that around the home?
It was in my home.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I had African art in my home. And they also had posters, all kinds of posters. And my mom wanted there to be images of people of color in the house.
Mm-hmm.
So she had Gauguin.
Really?
And so
Yes.
he had the women,
One of my
the
favorites.
Polynesian women.
Yeah.
They were always very inspirational on the color, and I still use a lot of his palette in my work today.
When you were developing and you got to a point from where school is concerned, where did you go with your creative flow from there?
My mother wanted me to go to Moore College of Art, and I didn't want to go to an all-girls art school.
Okay.
That's what that was.
Mm-hmm.
I did apply to Tyler, and that was my first 2 years of art school. I was at Tyler. That was a very challenging experience. But I tell you, for Black artists during that time, and I think this is still true, Black artists, when entering a art institution, many times it's like walking into a cultural war.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you're very keen on holding on to something that you have gained out of your own cultural context.
Yeah.
There was just no understanding of the kinds of things that I wanted to express. I remember at one point saying to an instructor, well, all these pink ladies are fine, but that's not what I'm interested in. How do I get all these beautiful tones of this Black flesh? And I remember one professor, well, this was even when I went to Temple, the main campus. I mean, he was totally dumbfounded. He just stood there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he ever thought about it.
Because one of our instructors was transparent, was saying he was educated too because he was telling everybody, take out your flesh, whatever, pencil, whatever. And he said two African Americans were snickering. And he was like, well, what's so funny? He was like, well, what's flesh? He was like, do you consider, like, we're Black, so is the pink one? So that's where it came.
Students understand that when they go into those spaces, there is a jockeying for power.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? It's power.
Right.
When they understand that, they can get through it a whole lot better.
Mm-hmm.
When you go in there and you just think, well, I'm a student just like everybody else and I'm good. No, either you give up something.
Mm-hmm.
Some of us never had that sense of self or our own. Some of us haven't go into those institutions where we haven't developed our own sense of aesthetic consciously. Those that have, it's on.
Mm-hmm. What inspired some of your creative pieces?
Well, my inspiration is my people, my folks.
Yes.
And there have been times when the images have been very literal, and there have been times where they're quite figurative. And at this point in my life, for some reason, my work is much more abstract.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely our culture, our history, our experiences, that is what is the inspiration for me.
The mutual friend that we have, and thanks to him, he introduced me to the stable. And when we were here, we were marveling at the pieces that you had installed. And can you go into there, give me detailing of those particular pieces? Because we were wowed by those.
COVID was making itself felt.
Yes.
It was the beginning of it, and I remember kind of taking it in and all of that. I had been asked to do an exhibition at the Hilliard Gallery. I wrote a proposal for it, and the title of the proposal was Grigris for the First Wave of the Third Millennium. When I wrote that, I was just thinking in terms of looking at the position of our people in the United States, and I just felt as if I had this feeling like we've got some tough times ahead of us. I'm an artist. What can I do? I can make things. And I was aware of grigris because when my children were small, I used to wear necklaces that were grigris while pregnant and when they were young.
Okay.
And I knew that they were for protection. So I said, I'm going to make some grigris for my foot. I could not figure out what they were going to look like. But, and I have been working in paper. So they just kind of organically developed. I would say for the last 20 years or so, I don't work inside of a rectangle, a square, or anything like that. I always want things jutting out. For me, that is my insistence on understanding myself as boundless, beyond any barrier. So I wanted these grigris to have that kind of shaping, so they have all these shapes jutting out in different directions. And for me, that's that boundlessness. I went to several healers and spiritual people of different denominations, different belief systems, and asked them, I said, I want to make something for my folks. I see it as something that could hang in a room, something relatively small. And I want to have things, is there something that can help to protect our people? And in traditional grigris, there are usually pages from the Quran in there. And sometimes there are other plant materials and things like that. And so I went to several different people, and they gave me different things to put in them. There are raw stones. So I love pink quartz, which is a stone that exudes and attracts love. I think that love is powerful. I don't know of anything more powerful than that. So I wanted that in all of them. There are dolls, small dolls that are made in Peru, and they're called worry dolls. And you put these dolls, you tell these dolls your worries, and they'll take them away from you. I said, oh, we need some of those. Right. So those are in there. Turquoise is in there. That is another stone that is for protection. Since the Quran is in the traditional ones, I went back to a document that I have deep respect for called the Zulu Personal Declaration. It's a declaration that the Zulu wrote. It probably was oral for many, many years. But it was written down, I think, in 1860s, in the 1860s. And basically what it does is it's a declaration of the Zulus' relationship to the universe. First, they saw themselves as having a intimate connection with the universe, each and every person, right? But I took sections of that declaration, and that is folded and it is put in there. Native American white sage, there's some of that in there. Lilac, there's some of that in there. It's a black glass stone, and it's known to be very powerful for protection. So these kinds of items are in there. Citron, which is a stone that exudes positive energy, that is in some of them. Adinkra symbols, there are Adinkra symbols in some of them. So each one has a different formulation of things, and then it is sealed. Because when one seals something in, it's like an ashe. It's like it gives it its extra power. Yeah. I also got the idea that, you know what, music has been helping here, you know. So what I did was I matched each piece, the energy of the piece, to a musician or to a tune. So they're named by the musician or a tune. So my hope is that the people that got their piece, I encourage them, listen to that music. There's a reason why you chose that one, and you listen to that music, right? I think there were like 111 of them. Wow. And it took me a year to make them, then it took me a year to put all the things in them. And to, get the documents that I wanted in them and to put that in. So
that is very profound and powerful. And that's why I think they immediately caught our attention. And then to see them all together displayed, it was just magnificent. That was my favorite part of, even though as a collective whole, it was fantastic. But your pieces in particular had us captivated. We were just like, wow. So absolutely beautiful. They're beautiful. And indeed. And he was explaining to me some of what he knew in association with what you explained. So thank you for that. That's amazing.